Hey everybody, doing a post-game video for the Ravens versus the Giants. I'm doing it from my parents' house. They're off in vacation, so I'm just house sitting for a little bit. Um, yeah, so the Ravens lose again, third straight loss. There's a lot to cover about what went wrong and what's going to go forward. Honestly, throughout the whole game, I didn't either get excited. I didn't get mad, just only because we've seen this before from this team. We saw it last year. To be honest, we've seen it a lot of times, a lot through the Harbaugh era, minus the end of the 2012 season and the 2014 season. But other than that, through the Harbaugh era, we've seen this before from this Ravens team, and I've gotten to a point where I'm just not surprised by this stuff anymore at all for what they're doing, what's going on. I think first things first is I've been saying it for a while that everything starts with the guys in the trenches. If your offensive line is not protecting your quarterback or providing lanes for the running back, you're not going to win many football games, and that's just where the Ravens are right now. Yonda was out today. Ronnie Stanley was out. Uh, the only guy in his original position was Jeremy Zuta, and there's a patchwork offensive line. They can't block anyone. I mean, they're allowing everyone to hit Flacco. Flacco has no time to sit back there and throw the ball. I mean, they are providing, it seems, good lanes for the running game, but at some point you do have to throw the ball during the game. It's not working. Now, the second thing, the wide receivers on this team are soft. That's just the fact of the matter. They are soft. These are not tough guys. Minus Steve Smith, who's hurt right now. These guys are weak. These guys are getting hit over the middle. These guys are getting hit on the sideline, and they're not grabbing the ball. I mean, they're getting hit and they're dropping the ball. Sharp Perryman is not. I mean, he went up for one ball, but throughout the rest of the game, he was dropping passes all over the field. Kamar Aiken was dropping a few passes. So was Mike Wallace. Flacco didn't throw great passes all the time, but as a wide receiver, the rule is if your hand gets on the ball, you got to bring it in. And these guys just aren't tough. These guys aren't. That's that mental toughness. Going out there and going to attack the ball. The only guy really doing his job right now seems to be Terrence West on offense. Period. The third thing on the offense, these checkdowns. I mean, it's unbelievable. I think Kyle Juszczyk. I have to check the stats, but I believe Kyle Juszczyk may lead the team in receptions so far this season because of the checkdowns. I think last time I showed it, I think he had like 15 or 16 receptions, almost 200 yards receiving now in the last 5 games, 6 games, I mean, and that's ridiculous. I mean, they're not completing any passes over the middle. Receivers are not getting open. Even when Flacco does have time, I mean, he's constantly just checking down to the Kyle Juszczyk, and the defenses know it. The defenses know these receivers cannot get open, so they're just keeping a couple guys down playing cover two and just waiting for that check down like clockwork. It just comes, and then there it is. Bam, fourth down. Number 4, the penalties. I think the Ravens racked up over 115 yards in penalties this week. Another game where penalties kill the momentum of their drives. It seems like every time for the last 3 weeks now, even when the games they've won, when they're moving down the field, we see a holding penalty. But as soon as the holding penalty comes, that's it. I have to check what the percentage is, but I'm quite sure the Ravens might have the lowest percentage when it comes to converting a first down after a penalty. I have to believe that they have to be one of the worst teams in the league at that. Because it seems like as soon as they get a holding penalty or an offensive pass interference or whatever, as soon as they get that kind of penalty, the drive is over. It's done. The Ravens offense has proven just not to be good enough. I think even with the offensive line being healthy, that these receivers just aren't dependable enough to convert the first down. It's just not. It's just sad. And I think the thing is that as Raven fans, we may have to come to the realization that while last season they had to deal with a lot of injuries and things like that, and they're dealing with injuries now, granted, on the offensive line, But we're starting to see a trend here where this team is just not that good. They're just not. There's a lot of potential. We've expected this team to do better because of the potential of what they should be able to do. But the fact of the matter is, this may be what the Ravens are. This may be it. The Ravens are an 8-22. They said, I think, or something like that since last season. Something like that. Ridiculous. Or 8-18. Something ridiculous since last season. And Flacco, number 5, Flacco played a bad game. The last drive alone, he had Mike Wallace wide open, overthrew him. Constantly checking the ball down, not having a mental clock in his head of getting the ball away. Just throwing the ball into the middle of the field. Like, you can tell he's just frustrated. That he's frustrated that he doesn't have time to sit back there and throw the ball. And I think he's just getting to the point where he's checked out mentally. It seems like he's just checked out. I think a lot of these guys on this team are checked out right now. I know it's tough. And now you're coming against a Jets team next week that they're probably going to lose to. They're probably going to lose that game against the Jets next week because they got to play in New York again. So they're going to probably lose that game. So something happens or whatever. They just can't convert and get points. And they're probably going to end up losing that week as well. And it's just, you're looking at this Ravens team. And I was listening to the post-game radio. And they said if the Ravens get to this, and you're going after the bye week, like I said, it doesn't get any easier. They're going to have to play the Eagles. They got to play the Steelers twice. They got to play the Bengals twice. They got to play the Patriots. They could easily get 10 losses here, folks. Easily. I could see them losing both games to the Steelers. So that immediately goes to, if they lose next week, 3-5, 6-7 right there. So then they lose 2 against the Bengals. So that's 8-9. Then they lose to the Patriots. So that's 10 right there. That's 3-10. And they could easily lose to the Eagles. That's 11. They could easily have the same record they had last year and go 5-11. Easily. Like they did last year. I just don't see this team getting any better with what it is. I mean, even with the Marty Morningway's coordinator, I just don't think that the Ravens are talented enough, physically and mentally, on their offensive side to just win the football game. Now, the defense at the end of the game lost the game. They let Odell Beckham get that 66-yard touchdown. But we've seen this before. The Ravens defense is not of old like we're in 2000, and teams aren't playing the same game anymore. Back in the early 2000s, teams were still running the ball a lot. They're not doing that now. Teams are throwing the football. That Ravens defense back in 2000, if teams were throwing the football the way they were, probably would still be as good, but maybe would have lost a few more games. Just by the simple fact that, but then again, that Ravens defense in 2000, in 2001, and mid 2000s for the most part, they were hitting the quarterbacks. It just was the offense wasn't scoring touchdowns. They would get the ball back, and they would sometimes score touchdowns on their own. That Ravens defense was able to get sacks. They got 1 sack today. 1. Terrell Suggs, and then he got hurt on the next, and then he got hurt. He got hurt on that play. They got 1 sack today. They got 0 pressure on that man. He was able to sit back there and do whatever he wanted. And I don't see that getting any better either. I've said I wanted to see Matt Judon get out there, and they got out there. And I saw Darius Smith. I saw those guys out there. They weren't doing it. This team is just not that good. They aren't. They're just not that good. Now, I'm going to go into this little spiel right now, but I think a lot of it has to do with John Harbaugh. And a lot of people want to blame Ozzie Newsome and things like that, but I think since Harbaugh got into the league as head coach for the Ravens, you have seen the type of player the Ravens have drafted. They don't draft these wild card guys. They don't draft these guys with maybe a little bit of character issues where they've had, they're aggressive on the field, not necessarily stuff off the field, but where they hit hard on the field and they jawed the teams a lot and stuff like that. They don't draft a lot of attitude guys. They haven't since Harbaugh's been there. That's the kind of coach he is. He doesn't like attitude guys. He doesn't like guys challenging his authority. And you're seeing that now. This team on offense and defense have 0 attitude. Eric Weddle has attitude, but he was a free agent signing. This team, and Harbaugh, as many people don't know, Harbaugh has had a very integral part in the draft room and drafting these football players. He's had a very integral part in doing that. He goes into that draft room and he tells Ozzie what he wants. Now Ozzie as the GM is like, okay, look, you're the head coach. I'm going to draft the guys that you want, that you think you can coach and win us football games. Okay, so we're going to do that. And what's happened since then? Since Ray Lewis and Ed Reed left, this Ravens team has a losing record. Since those two guys left, the attitude era of the Ravens is gone. It has been gone since Harbaugh was there. Harbaugh, when they showed him on the sideline and he had his head down and he's like, all right, they already fired Trestman. Okay, I think I might be next. I think he's looking at it, oh, crap. This might be on. I think there's no one else to blame now at this point. So I'm going to do a separate video just about Flacco, what I think about him what is going to happen to him in a few years. But I think Harbaugh might be, I think Ozzie might be knocking on his door pretty soon, saying like, look, I think we need a change of attitude on this team, and I think the Ravens realize that. I think the front office realizes that. And I know Harbaugh said he didn't fire Trestman because Ozzie and them told him to, but I guarantee you Ozzie and them said, like, look, either you go or he goes. Plain and simple. If you don't fire him, we'll fire you. Plain and simple. I think they had that discussion with him, and that's why he got rid of Trestman so fast. But now that Trestman's gone and that performance they put up this week against the Giants, just the offense being and the fact that constantly Harbaugh calls penalties. Uses his timeouts in the third quarter, down to 2 timeouts, then down to 1 with like 6 minutes to go in the game, knowing you're going to probably need those because this offense is going to probably have to drive back down the field to kick a field goal or score a touchdown. They don't have any time. They're not running a 2 minute offense well. They're doing a lot of things you see that are fundamental to just football. They just don't do well. They had to delay a game on the last drive where you just throw your hands up in the air like, are you serious? You guys had a first down. How are you having a delay of game? Is the play not coming? What's going on? So you're looking at this team, they're just confused. And there's a point in every organization where the message starts to get stale. You can't put this on Ozzie for the simple fact that Ozzie doesn't coach. Ozzie just drafts the players. That's it. It's up to the coaches to bring the best out of these players and bring a certain attitude out of these players. Or the head coach is obviously going to want a certain type of guy on his team. And that's what Harbaugh has done. While these guys may be great guys off the field, good character guys, these guys aren't aggressive football players. Not for AFC North. That may be fine if they play in the AFC East, or the AFC South, but not AFC North. These guys are cupcakes. Okay, these guys are soft cotton candy. I mean, it's ridiculous. These guys play soft. Eric Weddle plays hard. I gotta give him credit. Steve Smith plays hard. Terrell Suggs plays hard. I mean, he just had bad bursts with injury. These other guys, though, they play soft. And that's the kind of mentality that Harbaugh has created in that locker room with the Ravens. It's a soft mentality where even when they try to be aggressive, they can't seem to convert. Too many times where they should have gone for points and they try to go for it, realizing this team is just not good enough to convert those touchdowns. We just need to kick the field goal and live with it. That's what the Ravens did in 2000. Brian Billick realized that team, hey, this team isn't going to score a lot of touchdowns, but we have an excellent defense. So if we do get in range, we got matched over, let's kick the field goal and hope our defense can get some stops. Get the points. This team is not good enough like the Steelers are at converting those 4th and 1s on the goal line. They can't do it. We saw it today. They just can't do it. They can't do it. I think I've been saying this for the last few years. It's time for Harbaugh to go. It's time. It's time for him to go. This message has gotten stale. And here they go going into the toughest part of their schedule. After this Jets game. They're going to go in the toughest part of their schedule. It'll probably be 3-4. And this losing streak is going to get worse and worse. A promising season, it looked like 3-0. Even with some issues they had, it didn't look like it's getting any better. Guys are still getting hurt. Guys are staying hurt. I don't know if Ronnie Stanley's ever going to play during this season again with his nagging foot injury. This defensive front 7 isn't going to get any better. They're not going to get any more pressure on these quarterbacks, especially guys like when Ben Roethlisberger show up and Tom Brady And these guys show up, and Dak Prescott, like, when these guys show up to the Ravens, I mean, it's going to be a wrap. Now you're going to be close. And I think if you see double-digit losses this season, considering what they did in the offseason to try to bring some talent in here and get guys healthy, I think it's on Harbaugh at that point. They have to make a change. And I think that whole coaching staff has to go. The whole coaching staff, Dean Pease, Mari Morningwig, Harbaugh, everyone associated with Harbaugh has to go. They need a new dynamic on this. They need to do something on this team. They need a dynamic head coach. Regardless of what people want to say about Jim Harbaugh, his brother, Jim Harbaugh gets the best out of his players, college and pro. The only reason he left pro is because the owner didn't like his attitude. But he was an excellent head coach. He was fiery. He had attitude. He made sure those players got the best out of his players. That's why that 49ers team did so well. They didn't have the best players in the world, granted. They didn't have the best players in the world, but he got the best out of that team. And he's doing right now in Michigan. But the Ravens are scratching their head now, man, we should probably sign John. We should have probably signed Jim. You know. But I think this team is, with a GM like Ozzie and things like that, I think they would benefit from having a coaching change. They're playing coaches that will want to come for this team. But I think this is gonna have to be a decision by Ozzie and Steve Bisciotti to go ahead and change the attitude of this team and change what the team is about back to what they used to be. They need an attitude. They need to have an attitude, and they don't have it. They drafted attitude guys when they had Peter Boulware and Ray Lewis and Ed Reed and Chris McAllister. They had attitude guys. You know, they had Michael McCrary, Tony Siragusa. They had guys that talked trash. You know, they had guys after they sacked you to be all standing right over top of them talking trash. I mean, these guys had attitude. They were out to hit you. This team, on both sides of the ball, you know, minus Steve Smith and Terrell Suggs, none there. None at all. This team is soft. This team just seems like just mentally defeated. And they need to go ahead and this is rebuilding time for the Ravens. This is rebuilding time. They need to go ahead, go back to the drawing board and like, hey, you know, we got some decent running backs here. We're going to have to find some more wide receivers because these guys aren't cutting it. We're going to have to definitely revamp this offensive line. I got to give credit to Jerry Jones in Dallas because of what he did there, for the simple fact that he spent 4 seasons drafting offensive linemen, and you see the product right now on the field. Like, they're winning football games, and they look good. I think the Ravens are going to have to go in the next season, draft some pass rushers, and they're going to have to draft some offensive linemen. Or maybe even sign free agent something. You got Yonder, you got Stanley. I think Stanley's going to be good down the line. You know, he's been good since he's been in there, so I'll give him a few more years. He stays healthy. But you're going to have to probably find a left guard. You're going to find another center. Neri Zuda, for example, was a fill-in anyway. I don't know how he got a contract extension, but he was a fill-in. They need to go find some guys. If they can build that offensive line up pretty well and build up that defensive line, I think they'll be okay. But as long as Harbaugh has a say on who gets drafted, this is what we're going to get. So I think this is going to be it for Harbaugh. They've given him a lot of chances. He's had plenty of times where I think he's been on the hot seat and they've been able to we're going to give him a shot, give him a chance because he won a Super Bowl. Not anymore. I think this team, Steve Bisciotti wants his team to go a different direction. He wants his team to win. And this is not acceptable. When you're firing your offensive coordinator in Week 5, please believe that if you don't turn it around, other heads will roll. And I think Harbaugh and his coaching staff will be gone. That'll be it. But that's my little spiel for the end of the game. Ravens lose. I may not even watch the game next week. I really don't want to, just because I don't put myself through this again. But, you know, I'll stay up on the highlights and stuff and let you guys know. I'll do a preview just for the heck of it because I have to. But yeah, that's it. And I said I'll do a Flacco video later this week, just talking about Flacco and assessing him now in year 9 and what's the future for him in the Baltimore Ravens. But that's been my little spiel. So leave some comments at the bottom. Please subscribe to my videos. I would greatly appreciate it. I'm going to try to upgrade my stuff a bit, maybe get a little set or something like that. You know, try to make it more official, better quality for you guys. But that's my little spiel, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.